welcome to the show. This is Soul Star Radio. I'm your host, Jacquelene Postmore, and we're coming to you live from Shepparton, where myself and my wonderful guest today are appearing at the Spiritual and Psychic Expo at the Shepparton RSL, Saturday the 7th and Sunday the 8th of September. And I'm just going to do a bit of housekeeping. I'd like to thank everyone who's bought tickets for the Psychic Cruise on the Murray, Spirits on the Murray Psychic Cruise that I'm doing 14th of September, which are now sold out. And I'm really enjoying that. And also thank you to everyone who came to Coral Castle through the freezing cold snow when we had the polar snap that went all the way from Melbourne and sent cold air all the way up to Brisbane, which I find hilarious, but kind of concerning on a climate level. And people came through the snow to actually, come to that event where I was doing platform readings, and I was joined by the wonderful Wolf, Arrow Rain and Jefferson Morrow. Big hello to you. We had a lovely audience there, very welcoming, who, gave wonderful feedback. So I'd like to thank them all for validating the readings I did there. Now, also, if you're after a free reading, and it doesn't matter where in the world you're from, usually we do have those on this show. Sometimes I run educational shows, which I'm doing another of today. But if you're wanting a free reading, if you get on the Facebook Soul Star Radio with Jacquelene page, there's actually going to be a link there for how to enter to get a free reading in this magazine here that I'm writing for, which is Shine Your Light magazine, and you'll see the website for them, and you can actually go online there as well to find out more. It's shineyourlight.com, and light is spelled with a Y, just to make it nice and confusing for all of us. Half the fun, I guess. So I'm actually writing a column in there called Ask Jacquelene, and so I'm actually doing these free Q&A readings for people. So if you actually go and have a look at that, you can find the post on the Soul Star Radio with Jacquelene Facebook page. You'll find that there. So I can actually write back, and you'll see I'm sort of writing quite a bit of reading there, back in response to someone who's, sent along their question and their first name and date of birth. So it's a really good magazine I'm writing for, and it's actually available online anywhere around the world. You can actually order a copy, and certainly it's getting into newsagents around Australia. So I've got that homework out of the way now, so I can get on with the show for today. Woo! So welcome in. And now we're going to be, myself and my wonderful guest here, Kate from Soul Healing with Kate, is joining me today. So thank you for joining me, Kate. I'm going to also mention that we're going to be at some other events that we're both appearing at together. So the ones that Kate is also appearing at, you're going to be at Alexandra Headlands the 13th to the 19th of September. What's that one?
That's just the personal one up there, and doing readings and healings.
Brilliant. So that's a bit of a tour. Whereabouts is that? Oh, love it.
Up near Nesta.
Yes, we were just talking about Brisbane a second ago, so that's a bit further up than Brisbane, but wonderful. Now, you're also going to be at Leeton, 26th and 27th of October. There's going to be an event there that we're all appearing at, and also 9th and 10th of October, Narrandera, and then Yarrawonga is the 8th to the 13th of November. So there's some dates to find Kate if you're in Australia. But if you're around the world, you can actually also connect with Kate on her website, which is actually already linked to the Facebook post on Soul Star Radio on Facebook if you're trying to find that website. Now, so with you, Kate, and with the work that you're doing, you're offering readings, you're offering healings, and you're offering health and wellness. So what sort of started this journey, and how long ago was that?
I started many years ago. Psychic side comes through and the female side of the family. My grandchildren actually got it. It's a bit of a shock to the parents. It started off because of family members that were suffering with stress. Yeah. And I was trying to find a way other than being simply medicated, how to deal with it naturally. Yeah. And I think that's how the journey started.
Brilliant. And have you worked like where you've complemented people who perhaps, need medication, but also, to help improve that? Have you found that their medications drop off a bit sometimes?
Yes, it has. Yes, I haven't needed as much. And gradually decreased it.
Yeah, and so with the right treatment with Western medicine as well, and working in conjunction with complementary therapies, because it's kind of a complementary rather than purely an alternative, and so it's actually really nice that you're doing it that way. Now, so when you're doing the work, we've got you on talking not only as with the theta healing today, but also as life and as an empath. So we sort of have a bit of chat about being an empath, because that's always fun. It's fun living as an empath. I say fun in an almost sarcastic tone, because there's sort of some tricks to that. But so tell me, first of all, though, what is theta healing, and how does that work?
Theta healing connects with the client with the brain mode, the theta brain mode. So it's very similar to when you're waking up in the morning, just as you're waking up or just as you're going to sleep. It's sort of on that state where you're blocking out the daily activity. And you're able to connect with the client or with the person with you on a deep level.
So when that's happening, are you channeling energy to them, or?
Yes.
And so you're channeling the energy, and then do they sort of say, oh, wow, this is happening, and then you then responding to that, or how is that going?
I'm usually asking them questions along the way, and asking them, like, what are they feeling as we're going? Because it can bring up a lot of emotions as we're getting into the theta healing.
Yep. Do they sort of experience like a hot, cold, buzzing, different emotions coming up? What sort of stuff happens with that?
No, they haven't mentioned that. It's just more that they're in a calm state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's more going in the emotional level rather than disrupting the aura, so to speak, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah. Because with some forms of healing, people go, oh, well, I'm feeling this in my body here, or, it gets sometimes a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But so it's not really like, carting chickens around the yard. Won't go into that stuff. But that's sort of, Santeria and other types of work, but we don't do that here. So not that there's wrong with people doing that. No, we got there, but hey, we've got an interesting audience. Love them all. So when you're working with that, are you working also on the core DNA type stuff as well?
It works on all levels. I work in the seventh plane.
Yep. So for people who don't know what the seventh plane is, what is that?
No, you doesn't.
I have.
The seventh plane, because there's planes along the way, the seventh plane is actually working with the creator's unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And on that level, it's a lot easier to connect with the client, and it's not the fallout at times that there is if you're working on the lower level.
Yeah, so on the lower levels, they could block that, or you could find yourself blocked as well with sort of subconscious thinking. Because like in sigil magic, the reason we in sigils create sigils is we take a whole sentence or a whole discussion, turn it into a sentence, turn it into and get rid of certain letters, and then you can actually draw an image that comes out of the letters sort of grouped together, and then it becomes a symbol, for example. And then that symbol bypasses the words in your mind. You're just thinking of the symbol, and then that bypasses your subconscious self-sabotages that get in the way of that. So you're kind of tricking the system by going up higher.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like if I was doing sigil magic, only we're doing the theta healing, you go up higher and go, well, going to get out of the way of that stuff. So is this also helping people when they've got those subconscious blocks, or I'm not good enough, this sort of thing?
Definitely. It goes into the issues of the person, so whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety. It also works with those that have been sexually abused. We go back to where the issue started from and release it from there. And so if the person doesn't want to actually relive what was happening, we can actually get them to see it at a safe level as though they're looking at it on the TV screen instead of reliving it themselves.
Yeah. One of the techniques I've used with clients in a different kind of, I think it's called timeline healing, but it's essentially I would get them to look through the window as if they're in the safe house and outside of the window is the experience. So it's the same sort of symbology, but just being done a bit differently. Now, post-traumatic stress disorder is really quite full on, and you did talk at the beginning about how you got into the sort of healing side of this through and the psychic side through seeing the stress in other family members. PTSD is a very hard thing to quote-unquote get over. I don't know that whether people get over it or learn to live with it or how that is, and some people will have like a emotional support pet that helps work with that. And certainly after the bushfires, I've been through 3 major bushfires in my life in Australia, massive bushfires, and you sort of see a lot of that fallout in the community of that PTSD stuff. So I'm just going to read this out. PTSD can develop following a traumatic event that threatens or appears to threaten your safety. For example, car accident, physical or mental abuse, war, to name a few. In most cases, it can be treated without medication. PTSD develops differently from person to person and affects people differently. PTSD can affect the following: emotions, ability to function normally, sleep, sensitivity to noise, no interest in the outside world, fear of going outside and or in public. And I also find hypervigilance, like a hyperreaction to things, like reacting out of context and not being able to control that, or feeling you don't control that. And feeling that no one understands you, thinking about everyone would be better off without you. And so that's a really full-on thing for people to be going through. And you're connecting with people and helping them through that sort of empathetic kind of connection point, and helping them to let go of the, the different aspects of that one by one. But how if someone's living out there right now with PTSD that's watching this, what sort of things can they do that maybe isn't sort of normal mainstream stuff I might have heard, like that you've come across or experienced that's helped?
Okay, also I'm finding that diet is also a main thing. There's a lot of people, when they've got stress of any sort, they find that they're not interested in eating. They can skip meals, they can't remember when their last meal was, and that's also not helping the system. Yeah, because they still need to be able to eat properly. Yeah. Be able to gain strength.
And then, of course, if you've got that really bad gut health or not enough in the system going through, then you can't think straight.
That's right.
And so you get, like in Chinese medicine, we talk about the gut being like a second brain. It's the heart is the memory. The gut is this thing that helps, run the brain and make it work for them. So, even things like eating really bad food that isn't, got some goodness in it, you're then disturbing the gut flora, and the gut flora is going to that mood as well, isn't it? Yeah. So when we're dealing with that sort of thing, it's so important. I'd sort of reckon that having a food diary, even unless they're obsessive about that sort of thing and start, counting every single calorie in a manic level, but that sort of stuff would help.
Would definitely help. Also magnesium is also very good because people think very negatively. Magnesium helps to counteract that.
Yep, and certainly any Geminis out there, we probably should be on magnesium phosphate because it tends to be the mind just going, and so that magnesium actually helps calm that down. It's like helps relieve the nervous tension. Yeah,
yes, it does.
Yeah. What other things can they do diet-wise? Like, are there specific foods that are more helpful and less helpful?
Red vegetables are very good. Also, the berries, anything purple, red, and green.
Blueberries.
Yes.
All
the antioxidants, they definitely help.
Yep.
Raspberries are also very good. So people that don't like to eat a lot, make up a smoothie and put that in.
Yeah.
If you're just doing the juice, you can use coconut water as the base because that's also an antibiotic. So that's going to help the system as well.
That's really, really full on. Do you find that it's more the sensitive people that are prone to more of the anxiety because of how much they're picking up, like sensory input?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so with the PTSD, what sort of, I guess it's all sort of people that can get it, but I guess it's down to how we deal with it once it's happening, if it's happening.
Sometimes it's not always just what's happening at the moment. It can be things that's mounted up over years, and it's compounded. Sometimes it can be a noise that sets people off. It could have been something in a train station where you're in the distance and that sets them off. And they can lose sense of direction. It's like, well, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Family members, if they're very sensitive, if the person concerned is very sensitive, family members can find that it's very hard to understand them. Why are you so sensitive? And they'll always be telling you, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get on with life, but they just don't understand because some people aren't that sensitive.
Yeah, I look, after the Black Saturday bushfires in particular, there was a lot of people very affected, and I was one of the people going out there doing healing and all that. We were helping out, and I remember the story a friend told me that, and he was just devastated. This 82-year-old lady, apparently, he'd seen down the street, and I think he'd just had a cry. And this is a 50-year-old guy who's got it together and has been helping people through this and was one of the healers helping people after the fires. And I remember he saw her talking to someone and she says, I just wish everyone would get over it. And this was only 1 year after the fires, which for some people, their lives will never be the same. It's just that frank. I mean, and yes, a lot of people have made all sorts of moves forward and moved on, but for some people, their lives are either lost, they've lost someone close to them, or they are forever changed, and it's just the fact of the matter, and it is just not that simple as saying just get over it. And so that's it's a hard thing when you're an empath to actually be told that by someone who's got far less sensitivity. And I think I grew up on a farm in the southwest district of Victoria, and I remember being told that I, quote unquote, couldn't work in an iron lung, which an iron lung breathes for you. Which is an interesting analogy, because an iron lung, it sort of implies metal. And if we talk about, Chinese medicine and metal and how much metal I've got in my chart, kind of makes sense, actually. I sort of go, great joke that you didn't know you were telling. And of course, it's sort of, you then sort of go, oh, I must be, not enough for this or this and this, and I'm too sensitive. But it's that sensitivity we need in humanity at the moment, I think, if we're going to move forward as a human race. And, the most intellectual creature on the earth that's actually destroying its own environment. We sort of need to be far more empathic and empathetic towards our earth and all the animals on it, and catch up on a humanistic, heart level with all of this technology we've got. Because we've got all the technology way ahead of our emotional maturity, spiritual maturity. What's your sort of views on where the world's at with that? And are you finding you're meeting more empaths?
Definitely, it's a lot more empaths. A lot of the children coming through now. They've come through more intelligent, more heightened in their abilities.
I find it hilarious when you've got an empath child, and when they're about 3, 4, I found that they tend to be quite matter of fact in their assessment of things and people. And then when they're much older, they're like as an adult, they're like, oh, I really don't want to say that because, and it's kind of, do you find that yourself? What sort of things are you coming across in the children who are empaths?
I've got some grandchildren that's empaths, and they're coming through it at the moment. And my granddaughter, she's 4, almost 5, and she's coming through with my husband. Says, oh, you're upsetting me, you're hurting my feelings. And he says, what do you mean, feelings? She says, feelings, things that upset you. And he says, oh, just get over it. Not that easy, Poppy.
That easy at all. And that's where theta healing goes into it as well, because it's addressing that feeling in the feeling space. But yeah, I think, things for empaths to do if you're feeling overwhelmed in the supermarket, like I used to get, because I'd sort of like, whoa, look at that. I get very ungrounded. I was spending the first 20 of my years sort of, up there, and my feet were about here, so I could actually look aerially down at the situation while looking out the windows as well, which, is actually a trauma response, by the way. It's sort of like, oh, whoops, probably not the best
flight stage.
Very much so. But, hey, it was made for interesting viewing. I mean, you've got 2 sets of eyes on you. Never mind, you turn this one around, you're seeing the back. I mean, that's even more fun. I used to astral travel at times to the supermarket and go, oh, look, the cheese is on special, but I'm going to test myself. Oh, look, Lisa's at the front desk. She's got dark hair and ruby red lipstick. All right. Okay, I'll wake up and go down there now. And sure enough, there'd be Lisa with the ruby red lipstick and the dark hair, and the cheese was on special and exactly the same price, like $5.96, and you're like, yeah. But how does one, if they're in a hypervigilant state like PTSD or they're empath and having too much sensory overload, what sort of things would you recommend that they do to ground?
It's very hard because you always got to make sure that the person's not heavily medicated, because if they are, it doesn't matter what you're saying to them. They're not listening to it or not absorbing it. It's like your lips are moving, but just not hearing the word you're saying. So, and there's only a very short space of time that you can actually talk to them where they're actually listening.
Oh, yeah.
So you might have to explain to them, what you're talking about or what you need them to do, and then bring them into something that they're doing in their everyday life and then take them back out again. Otherwise, they lose that concentration.
I find also that if you're the person helping that person, because you might not be able to do so much with them, to get through to them on that sort of verbal level. But one thing that certainly worked for me, I remember my Chinese medicine doctor actually grabbing my foot between the big toe and the second toe but on the actual footpath. And running across that top of the foot and in a particular spot, which I can't remember right now, is actually the gallbladder meridian. And so if someone's sort of up there, you grab them on the gallbladder meridian on the foot, and you can actually Google that, gallbladder meridian foot. I reckon you'll find it. Don't use a needle because we haven't been taught that stuff. But you can actually press on there, and they'll be back in before you know it. But even just touching the feet can help. But in situations you're talking about, it might not be appropriate to touch their feet. But if you've got someone close to you that's going through those sort of shock situations, and it's not escalated to an absolute acute level, they're just simply, whoa, a bit like this, and they're not shouting and screaming at you, then I reckon you probably could grab them on the feet. Yeah. But I think if they've gotten to the point where it's sort of a shouting stage, I think that's where you have to fall back to your Western medical sort of what they're telling you. Because we have to sort of really be working with rather than against that sort of mainstream as well, I guess.
Definitely helps. It depends on the level of the trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my God, yes. It was actually interesting because even just last night I was coming out of my building from work, and there was in the bank where they've got a walk-in tower area on the corner of that street, and there was actually police, what looked like medical psychiatry people, because I can sort of tell and feel, and there was a lady in a uniform that looked like it was from the bank, and this is like way after hours, and there was a guy on his knees, handcuffs, and he looked right out of it, and I was like, about to go into the bank, and was very quickly, right, I think I'll leave then, sending him a healing love and light sort of parcel of energy. But yeah, sometimes it is just that critical, and you sort of have to say, all right, well, I'm going to let, the specialised people help with that. But really what you're talking about working with is before they get to that stage and preventative a lot of the time. So, hey, look, I'm having trouble, but I'm not quite in acute stage yet. Whereas when it's acute, you sort of have to go straight there, I guess.
I think it works like peeling an onion. It works on different layers. And so you're releasing the layers. And when I'm connecting to my client, I can actually see the things that's being released. Sometimes you might have to go back in because it's such a deep level, but you might have to release the same thing again because it's so deep. But the client can definitely feel the benefits of it at the end of the session.
And that way it's this gradual process rather than thunderbolt of lightning, very, very exciting indeed. Boom, Galileo out of space. So it's kind of helpful in just helping reset them gently, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it depends on the client. Sometimes if you go too deep too quick, it can be just as shock to the system as it is if you're doing it gently.
Yeah, and that's where they can end up in a healing crisis, isn't it?
Yes.
So for those who don't know what a healing crisis is, that's like a major freak out. But how would you describe it?
I would say that's a
major freak out. I think we've got a consensus of a major freak out there. So it's all like tripping all the switches on the power board, I really think, and having to kind of reboot again afterwards. But yeah, I think you can overdo healing, or you can overdo the energy that's being moved around, and that's where the sensitivity of the practitioner is very important, would you say? Yeah. So as an empath, you'd be able to pick up on how deep to go versus not.
How deep to go, what buttons to push. If they don't want to go deep enough, if you know that they need to go deeper, you know what buttons to push for other things to come up. I do also like them to do their homework, and their homework would be just to write down the things that's affecting them in their life and how it's affecting them. Because that way it's also getting them to connect. That you've done part of the work before they come to you. It's a lot easier to release things from them.
Yeah, because then they're setting the intention.
Yes.
Whereas if they're sort of going, oh, this isn't going to work, okay, you don't want this to work. Yeah, so I guess when you're suffering something like PTSD, or even when you're an empath, you can get very stuck in your mindset of this is where I am, this is a safe zone.
And sometimes people can use it because it serves a purpose for them.
Yeah.
So they might not want to release all of the trauma because they might find that because they've got the trauma, their families are coming around them, they're getting the attention that they never had previously.
Yeah.
So you've got to deal with that as well, address that.
And it's a very full-on thing to do, because we have to sort of go on the healing journey in a way that we can actually take on board. So that's something for you to think about today, particularly very sensitive people out there. things like theta healing, things like Reiki, things like, that working on the emotions will really help you develop better as a psychic and a medium and an empath. The more honest you are with your feelings, the better it will be. Thank you very much, Kate, for joining us. We'll have to run for now. In the meantime, we're going to catch you next week on Soulstar Radio on the A1R Psychic Radio and Instruct TV networks. In the meantime, tune in for more shows tonight. Lovely to catch you again. See you next week.
Bye.